Hey there! This is Iwa, Rambo McLean for life, and welcome back to my review, and that's of course Speed, which was released on June 10, 1994. And this is the Blu-ray that I do have, the UK release from this is actually the first release that I do have, which I want to show you. It's just better if I just show you that way, Speed. Now I do have two Blu-ray discs, and the first disc that I do have is region free, which actually plays on every Blu-ray player, every territory it plays. And I have the second disc, and that's of course region B, which of course plays on only for my country, for my territory, and that's of course region B. Now why I do have two Blu-ray discs, which I'll get to. I actually bought this Blu-ray like 2 years ago. I bought this Blu-ray, and this disc, this disc that I do have in here, this disc, it only has two audio commentary tracks with director Jan de Bont, writer Graham Yost, and producer Mark Gordon, and it also has trailers, and that's it. And this disc, which is region B, has two audio commentary tracks with director Jan de Bont, then writer Graham Yost, and producer Mark Gordon, and it also has Speed Takedown Java game. It has a great game on it, which I tried last night, in which is a game in which you have a quiz game, and you can choose two characters, Detective Jack Traven, or if you choose Howard Payne, the character, you have to chase through whole. You have a quiz show, and through the whole movie you have fun watching the movie, and you can enjoy the video game, which is awesome. And you have to find out where the bombs is with your remote control, and if you guess correctly, you get a point. This is really a fun game. That's one of the reasons I do have this disc, and I'm keeping it, which is placed on my Blu-ray player, and I'm keeping this disc. And of course, we also have trivia track, personal sales selection, and high definition trailer, which is awesome. And I love this scene, with Keanu Reeves. I love this scene, which is so badass scene, which is in an elevator scene. Now, Speed. What can I say about Speed? It was already said, it was already told. Speed is a badass action film. It's a badass 90s film, and that's going to be my title: Speed, badass action film, which it is. It's a badass action film. It's rated R, and they don't make them like this anymore. It still holds up till the day. It's almost 30 years older, and it still holds up to the day because this is a badass action film. I mean, they don't make them like this anymore, and I just love this movie to death. I mean, I love Speed to death. It's definitely one of Keanu Reeves' best movies, and I really enjoy Speed. It is in my top 20 favorite action films, and Speed I love to death. It's a classic. It's an action classic. It's a fantastic movie. And it's a badass film. It's this movie is considered to be one of the best action films. It's one of the best action films. It's definitely one of the best Keanu Reeves films. And this is actually one of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies. Definitely my top 5 favorite Keanu Reeves movies, because I will go with The Matrix, Speed, and John Wick trilogy, because those will be definitely my top 5 favorite movies that Keanu Reeves did. And Keanu Reeves is a badass in this movie. He's a badass. He's a hero type cop. He's a badass, and I don't know what else to say. Now the cast, it stars Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, and the rest of the cast are also Alan Rookman. He was from that movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I enjoy him. and of course was Glenn Plummer was also in this movie, and Joe Morton, he was in Terminator 2, then he was in this movie as Lieutenant McMahon, he was Lieutenant, and the rest of the cast, I don't know that much. There's another actor, and it was Patrick Fischler. He was friend of the executive in the opening scene, in the elevator scene, and yeah, he was. I could not remember where I see him, but then I remember he was in Nash Bridges. He was in Nash Bridges as Pepe. He was in a lot of scenes, in a lot of episodes in that show, and I couldn't remember where I saw him. Now, Jan de Bont, he directed. This is actually the first movie that he directed. Was actually his first movie. Then he did Twister, which I really love. Twister, I love Speed to Death. I love Twister. Definitely have such a badass film, Speed, and one of the actually, Speed will actually consider be one of the greatest 90s, one of the greatest action films. The greatest action films will forever stay, because they will not make movies like this anymore. And I just love this movie to death. I love the poster, and I love Keanu Reeves, in this armored vest. He's such a badass. I mean, I love this movie to death. I mean, such a badass film. And I love Twister. Twister is such an awesome film. Have not seen The Haunted, or haven't seen The Haunted that he directed. And later he directed Speed 2, Cruise Control, which that movie fucking sucked. I know what happened to that sequel. I really don't know. I'm not gonna watch that movie ever again, because that movie was PG-13. I don't know why it was PG-13. This was rated R. And it's such a badass film, in my opinion. And it have a great cast, like I said, you have Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and Sandra Bullock is in this movie. Sandra Bullock was in Demolition Man right there. I have a poster there. And the other stars like Joe Morton, oops, almost my disc fall down. Joe Morton, Glenn Plummer, Alan Ruck. He was in the movie. Carlos Carrasco, Houghton James, Patrick Fischler, and and that's the rest of the cast, which is have a great cast. Now, this movie was actually a huge blockbuster hit. It was a huge success. It was a blockbuster hit back in 1994, because they actually filmed from September 1993 till I think it was December, till end of the year. The December was released on June 7, 1994. This is a huge blockbuster hit. The budget for this movie actually cost $30 million and made worldwide $330 million. $330 million. It won 2 Oscars. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. By best sound, best effects, best film editing, because it was so great editing. Jan de Bont, he did such a great job directing this film. And I know there are 2 audio commentary tracks, but I actually respect director Jan de Bont a lot than I would respect Graham Yost and producer Mark Gordon. Their track. I would rather listen to the director, because the director knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He was awesome. Now, Keanu Reeves, this will be one of his best films. And Keanu Reeves, he really wasn't sure if he will do this film, because this is actually his first film. And I'm not talking about Point Break, because in Point Break he actually wasn't built as the main star. It was Patrick Swayze. This movie was actually his first action movie that he did. And of course, Keanu Reeves at first, he actually wasn't sure that he will do this film, because it was like Die Hard, it was actually written like a Die Hard film. And he didn't like it. He didn't like the script, that his character is like John McClane, and he didn't like that. But then director Jan de Bont, he brought Joss Whedon on the set in which he changed the script from Graham Yost, and I don't think he billed as a credits, but he changed the script. That time Keanu Reeves signed to do this film. And of course Jeff Daniels, I forgot to mention, Jeff Daniels is also in this movie. Jeff Daniels did Dumb and Dumber that time, the same year, in a review Dumb and Dumber last year, and Jeff Daniels, he did this movie, and that time he thought that it was actually a piece of shit movie, but then he changed his mind because this is a huge blockbuster hit, and he has the same name from Harry Dunn to Harry Temple in this movie. He plays the best friend and partner of Jack Trevor, played by Keanu Reeves. And this is such a badass movie. The story, the story about this film, because everything was practical done. The story about this film is bump on a bus. If it reaches 50 miles per hour, it activates. If it falls below 50, it blows up. And that's such a great premise of the film. I know this been considered Die Hard on a Bus. I'm sorry, but I don't see that way. Now, here's actually one of my confusing parts about me. I actually wrote, I think it was on Cliffhanger, the main theme I wrote, that's such a cool Die Hard movie on the Rocky Mountains. And I got negative response by some fans stating it's not a Die Hard on the Rocky Mountain. It's not. It's a stand-up alone. Blah 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 blah. I'm never gonna change my opinion. It's a Die Hard in the Rocky Mountains. Broken Arrow is Die Hard in a Utah Canyon. And to me, Cliffhanger is gonna be a Die Hard in the Rocky Mountains, and these people are not gonna change my mind. And tell them I'm not gonna change my mind. Now, this movie has been considered. Die Hard on a Bus, and I disagree with that. I think it's a stand-up alone, and it's not. To me, it's not Die Hard on a Bus. And yeah, just like on Cliffhanger said, okay, so they're not in a confident space. So what? To me, Rocky Mountains are confident space, dumbasses. That's what I think about those people who continue try to convince me and change my mind or my opinion. I'm not gonna do that. But to me, it's not Die Hard on a Bus. Some people say it's Die Hard on a Bus, to each own. I respect everyone's opinion. But to me, it's a stand-up alone. And like I said, this movie did not need a sequel. I mean, 20th Century Fox wanted a sequel, and I don't know what happened to that movie, because this is awful. Would really like to find out more about that movie, what happened. So Keanu Reeves then, he signed, to play the character, officer SWAT team, actually LAPD SWAT team, Jack Trevor. And he's actually a badass hero, he's actually more considerate about the safety. He's different than John McClane, right there. He's more, concerned about everyone's safety. And I just love that the character. So Yandy Bont, he went and wanted that Keanu Reeves has a short haircut, and 20th Century Fox hated that idea when Keanu Reeves gets cut. They hated that idea, but he wanted that he looks like a beat up cop. Not like some pretty boy, or some bulky. He needs to be a beat up cop, and I like that. And actually, his character, his haircut was perfectly in this movie. And I love that, that this movie actually has 3 movies in one. It has great elevator sequence. Then it has a whole hour, the movie on the bus, and the fitting finale in the subway, which I thought that was awesome. I thought that was amazing. This movie has amazing action scenes, amazing score track by Mark Mancina, who worked on Bad Boys, the first one. He has great score by Mark Mancina. I love the soundtrack on the end by Billy Idol. Speed, what I need. Speed, got me what I need. Speed, and I just love that soundtrack. And of course, writers Graham Yost and the producer Mark Gordon are making fun of the soundtrack, which I disagree. They also stated in audio commentary that the movie should have ended on a bus, but I like the tunnel sequence, I like the subway sequence. I thought it was a great action sequence, which I disagree with also too. But I actually respect more, like I said, I respect the director Jan de Bont a lot. I love that he did Twister, I love that he did this movie, which is rated there. And yeah, the story, like you already know the story. I think I'm just gonna go skip the plot. A madman, Howard Payne. By the way, rest in peace, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was such a cool character, such a cool villain. I mean, Jan de Bont wanted him because he wanted that he's a normal guy that just snaps one day, so he cast him. Dennis Hopper as Howard Payne. He was a retired cop, and there's a scene when he goes and kills the guy, the security man with a screwdriver right in the head. At first I thought it was actually a gun with a silencer, but he was such a cool villain. He actually went and stabbed with a screwdriver right in the head. The security man hijacks the elevator, and of course when the SWAT team, he demands $3.7 million, as ransom. He trapped like 9 people in an elevator in the business building, and he holds them with a bomb as a hostage, which was such a cool idea, such a great premise and great cool idea in my opinion. And a team of SWAT team, shows up to the response, and and of course Keanu Reeves and of course Jack Traven and Harry Temple, they actually want to check the lobby, and they go the lobby, and they found out how the bomb was attached. They climb up on the roof and use those crane, and I love the scene when Jack Traven has been left down to the elevator shaft. The elevator sequence is such a great, amazing elevator sequence, a practical effect. I mean the stunt team work very well for Keanu Reeves. He goes like down there, uses the crane, and when Howard Payne finds out, he explodes the bomb. The elevator slides down, but the crane stops them, and they helped, and they saved like the passengers, every hostages, 9 hostages in the elevator. They saved them, and I love how Jeff Daniels and Keanu Reeves help poor people out. This old lady, she doesn't want to go out, but they grab her and they saved everyone. And they both find out the man, the hostage taker, he's somewhere in the elevator. They both go in the elevator. There's a great shootout. Howard Payne grabs a shotgun, shoots in the seal, and Harry falls down. He pushes the button up, the elevator, and Jack jumps there. And I love the scene, when he says, and I love the scene when of course all right, when Harry asks him, all right, pop quiz, airport, gunman with a one hostage, he's using her for a cover. What do you do? I'll shoot the hostage. Shoot the hostage, you're insane, you shoot the hostage. And another scene, when he grabs Harry for the nose, and he uses him as a shield, and Harry says, shoot the hostage. He goes, shoots him right in the leg, he goes, freeze, and Howard Payne goes in the garage and blows himself to pieces, and Jack and Harry, they became a recommendation. It says, you get a medal and shoot me, you prick. And says, well, Harry, you told me to. I love that scene, it's such a cool scene, a great explosion. So there's another scene when Jack, after work, Jack, he's actually with his car in this convenience store, or was a diner, or was actually in a diner, this diner, and there's one of his friends go with the bus, and the bus explodes. Great practical effect, great explosion, and Jack gets a call, and it's the same character, it's Howard Payne still alive. He faked his death, and he calls him, to tell him that he wants $3.7 million. And on the bus 2525, there's another bomb attached to the bus, and he tells him, pop quiz, hotshot, there's a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do? And he says, I'll ask you which number. Do you think I'm gonna tell you? Yes. Very good, very smart, Jack. It's 1935 and tells him it's such a great scene when he goes in his truck. He tries to stop the bus. It's too late. He goes to the car and Keanu Reeves did 90% of his own stunts. He did 90% of his own stunts. And he goes in this car, stops the car by Glenn Plummer. He on this black Jaguar. They, hey, that's my car. Oh, now it's hijacked. They go in the car, and he's like such a great stunt sequence. Keanu Reeves drives the car, makes such a great move, and Glenn Plummer says, "Oh, such a great move." That was a great stunt sequence by Keanu Reeves. He drove himself. He tries to stop the bus when the bus goes after 50 per mile. Already the bomb activates, and there's a scene when Keanu Reeves drives backwards with the car, breaks the door for the black Jaguar, and then he jumps on the steps, which is awesome. There's this guy with a gun. Actually, I wrote down with this guy. Daniel Villarreal Ray, he grabs the gun, get away from me! And I love when Keanu pulls his gun, hey, I'm not here for you. And I love when he tries to talk him out. And there's this guy, Ortiz grabs him, and Sally, the guy, with 38 special, shoots him, the bus driver in the shoulder, and Keanu kicks the shit out of him, handcuffs him, and of course Sandra Bullock, she's actually Annie Porter, she's a passenger, her driver's license was removed. She goes and tries to drive the bus, and I love when he's such a badass type hero. He says that there's a bus on this bus, there's a bump on this bus. If the bus goes 50 miles per hour, the bomb will activate. If it below 50, the bomb will explode. And everyone now knows they're hostages, and I love, and there's actually in the city there's a rush hour, there's the traffic in every town, and that's such a great cool sequence with the bus. They used 10 buses. The Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels, they went and trained with the real SWAT team, and it's such a great cool scene. And I just love this movie to death, and it's such a badass film. I mean, this is how we do an action film, and of course they try to get everyone off the bus, but no, because he can see, and he tells them the rule: if anyone goes off the bus, you will all die. That's the rule. He wants $3.7 million in like 2-3 hours. It's just impossible to get that kind of money that fast. But and of course, I love when Jack goes Jack goes actually in the bus, he asks if someone could help him, to get the bus driver off, because he was hit. He needs to go to the hospital, and of course they let them. There's a girl, there's an old lady. She tries to step off, but her pain blows her. She dies. He kills the guy, keeps killing people. And I just love that scene. It was just such a great scene. Real practical effect, real bus were used. The passengers did a great job. The cast, the passengers. Great music score by Mark Mancina. And what else? Where there's a scene when he opens the dashboard and Jack looks and tries to find the bomb. Finds three triggers, and of course there's a watch in it, and he can't remove it because it's a decoy. It's gonna blow up, and I just love how the cast reacts so fast. There's a scene when actually Sandra Bullock goes and hits that baby carriage, and it was actually Ken's in it. There was a scene when actually Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock hit a car jumps off, they go off the freeway. There's a scene when there is actually still the bridge, the bridge actually wasn't there a bridge, it was digitally erased. But the bus, actually I wrote down the scene, the bus jump scene, which I wrote down, cause so that I'm gonna be real. For the jump sequence, a ramp was built. By the time it hit the ramp, it had reached speed of 61 miles per hour. It traveled. It traveled like 109 feet, and its front wheels reached an altitude of 20 off for the ground, 20 feet off the ground. The cameras were not placed correctly. The top front part of the bus goes out of frame when the bus reaches the maximum point of the jump. They actually had to use twice, the sequence, because the first time was not correctly. The second time that they actually used the jump scene, the director Jan de Bont said that he placed like 9 cameras, and every camera was destroyed except one camera, so that was the only one that took the shot, which was in the frame. So that was awesome. But it's actually amazing stunts in when a bus, jumps. When actually bus, jumps off the. He goes and jumps off the bridge, and lands. That's such a great scene, great edited shot, practical effect. I mean, it was a badass film. It was a badass, amazing stunt, really amazing stunt. I have to say, to give a credit, so it was actually amazing stunt, really awesome. I don't know what else to say. Then of course I love it when Jack always says, "Man, that was such an amazing driving man," and he's a gentleman, and he's more considered for everyone's safety, and he's such a great badass hero. He's such a likable hero. He tries to do everything. He gets off the bus, and there's a scene that he was actually built. I actually had to wrote down. It was actually Keanu Reeves was attached to a small wheeled dolly. He was attached by cable to a small truck, with the wheels under it. It was like it looked like a surfboard. It wasn't actually a surfboard, but it's actually a small wheeled dolly. Dolly attached by a cable to a small truck, and he goes under the bus and he tries to dismantle the bomb. And of course there's a scene. There's a scene when he gets hit a few times. He tries to deactivate the bomb, but it's impossible. And of course his little small wheeled to a small truck gets hit by the tires. He grabs the leg, stabs the tanker with a screwdriver, holds himself. And I love when the passengers goes and try to get him out. I love that scene when they go and try to get him out and help him out, to pull him up, which I love that scene. It's just awesome scene, some really amazing stuff. And of course, Harry finds out that Howard Payne, he's actually retired cop, an expert, bomb expert, now a retired cop. They go to his house and he goes blown to pieces. Great practical effect, great explosion. I still don't like that Harry gets blown up, and when of course Jack finds this out, he's upset. He says, I'm gonna fucking rip her spine out, I swear to God. I just love that. And of course Howard Payne, he was a mastermind. He was a badass as a mastermind, and he also called her a wild cat, and that's what he fucked himself up, because Jack finds out that he's taping them. So they do another tape, and put the tape is showing up, and they take everyone out of the bus, in which Howard can see that, and he can't activate the bomb. And they go to LAX, the airport, which they circling, and they're losing fuel, and he has to his captain, in 10 minutes. That's impossible. They take them everything off. And of course, because they are actually hit an obstacle, and they go in a different direction with the bus. There's actually a scene when Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock touch the wheel with that stick, and they use as a dashboard, as a surfboard, the dashboard, the panel, as a dashboard. And actually the panel, it was actually attached, they actually were small wheels, under small wheels were attached under the panel as a surfboard. And when you see Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves tied themselves together with the cables, and they actually drop themselves down, they slide down with that surfboard, they slide down. Those two were not Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. They actually were stunt doubles. It was a two stunt couple, which was a very dangerous stunt. And the next sequence, when you see sliding Keanu Reeves and of course Sandra Bullock, those are the real ones. But when they drop themselves under the bus, that was a stunt team. And the bus, when the bus was driving right in the airplane, there was tons of explosions under the airplane, actually in the airplane attached. And Jan Bont said it was very dangerous sequence. So everyone had to go away. Everyone wasn't allowed to be around the airplane, because airplane really did explode. It was a great sequence, a great explosion. It really did explode. It was just so awesome. It really did explode. The scene, it really did explode. It was such a badass scene which really did explode. And now, of course, Annie and Jack, they're both saved, and Howard still wants to have the money. They actually try to catch him to get a trap, but he figures out that everyone's off the bus, and he goes and kidnaps Annie, and he goes to the subway tunnel, in the subway sequence, which I love the subway tunnel. I love the subway sequence, and there's a train sequence when Howard uses as a train, goes with the train, kidnaps the train. Everyone goes off except Annie. She's attached to the bomb, and Jack goes and he climbs on the roof, which is a lot of scene. And when Howard finds out he actually finds out that he's on the roof. He opens the money. It's actually a fake money, and he gets shot in his senses, get money, and he starts shooting at him. He climbs on the top of the roof of the train. There's a great fight scene. They both wrestle together, and I just love the scene. When he says, and it's actually a runaway subway train, which is awesome scene. And he goes, "I'm smarter than you, Jack. I'm smarter. I'm smarter." And Jack, he grabs him in hand and light, and he beheaded his head. Yeah, well, I'm taller. I love that scene. I love that outliner from Keanu Reeves. Such a badass film. And he tries to save, Annie, and he goes to take everything off. He tries to save her, but she's actually hooked up with the handcuffs, for the pull. So instead grabs the brakes, because Dennis Hopper killed the he killed the driver, and he puts on the speed, which of course the train gets off the tracks, and at the end, they both saved, and they kiss each other. The movie then ends with a great soundtrack by of course Billy Idol, Speed. I love that soundtrack. Speed, give me what I need, Speed. And Jan Bont did a fantastic job directing this film. This was actually a blockbuster hit, and it didn't need a sequel. It wasn't need a sequel. We didn't need a sequel. And Keanu Reeves' best performance, this is actually one of his best films. Till nowadays, one of the best 90s action films of all time. And will forever stand as one of the best action films. It's rated there. It's not PG-13, it's rated there. Everything was practical done. The explosions were practical done. The explosions, the bus sequence. The idea, great story, the idea. Jan Bont was excellent. Josh Whedon did a great job rewriting the script. Josh Whedon, Grammy Awards did also a good job but I also love the costume, that Keanu Reeves uses. Love the costume for Keanu Reeves. And Dennis Hopper, rest in peace, he did such a great job as the villain. Howard Payne, Sandra Bullock, she was awesome in Demolition Man. She was awesome in this movie as Annie. I read that they wanted Halle Berry, but Halle Berry, she declined the role. But later she was with Keanu Reeves. She worked in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, and Mark Mancina did a fantastic music score. The stunt team were amazing. Such a great explosions. Get ready for rush hour. I love the tagline. Great bus. 10 buses were used. The idea was everything about rush hour. The idea with the bus, which actually was with the bus in the traffic, was awesome. Scene. It was just such an amazing film. It's a great practical film. Great practical actions. One of my personal favorite movies from Keanu Reeves. One of the best action films of the 90s. A badass action film. It won 2 Oscars for best sound, best effects, best film editing. And like I said, the cast, Keanu Reeves was awesome. Dennis Hopper, rest in peace. He was such a great. He's really missed the actor. He was in so many films, but he was such a great as villain. Howard Payne. And Keanu Reeves, he did 90% of his own stunts, and everything you saw was practical done. The effects still holds up till today. I mean, I love his character, Officer Jack Trayvon, and I love this kind of characters that Keanu Reeves played. Fuck the Matrix Resurrection. This is a badass film. It's a badass 90s film. It's a badass action film. The cast, everything, and I forgot to mention, but I love Joe Morton. He was in Terminator 2. Joe Morton as Lieutenant McMahon, just Lieutenant. He was awesome that he played, that he was his lieutenant, was awesome. Joe Morton. Gary Daniels was not Gary Gary Daniels. Jeff Daniels was awesome. Gary Daniels will be also a good villain in this movie, but Jeff Daniels was awesome as Harry Temple. I thought the effects, the cop cars driving behind the bus were awesome. The traffic, or in the open scene in the building where Keanu Reeves climbs and see a great view of the city was awesome. The Bont was fantastic, and of course, and like I said, Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels, they trained with real SWAT personnel to perfect their movements, so that was awesome. Houghton James as Sam Silver, the driver that gets shot, did a good job. The action sequences are awesome. It has tons of action sequences. And I also love, the lines like, pop quiz hotshot, there's a bomb on a bus. Or once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do? What do you do? Or when he goes, pop quiz, asshole. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do? And I love that when he goes and says, "Pop quiz, asshole. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do?" Great performance by Keanu Reeves. I love this movie to death. One of my personal favorite movies of all time. It made $350 million worldwide. It was a huge blockbuster success. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock had such a great chemistry working together. They did later Lake House, but yeah, that was awesome. Anyway, that's my movie review on Speed 1994. Badass action film, which is gonna be titled in my review. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'm out. Peace. Bye bye, and see you next video.